Welcome to the Roaring Twenties in the city of brotherly love. Grab your popcorn and take a seat as we journey through a decade of neon lights, velvet curtains, and the architectural wonders of Philadelphia's 1920 to 1929 cinema scene.
"1920. The decade kicks off with a rebrand. The year started with a bit of a identity crisis for some iconic spots. The switcheroo? On November 15th, the Stanley Theater swapped just 3 letters to become the Stanton Theater. Grand openings? The Royal Theater made its debut, as did the Cahucksink, which would later be known as the Diamond and the Puerto Rico. Back from the brink, the Belgrade reopened its doors following the war. Other newcomers included the Dewey, the Gillard, and the Penn over at 1426 S 6th Street. The upgrades? The Washington Theater got a fancy promotion, rebranding as the Washington Palace. The curtain closes. We said goodbye to the Bijou, 49 and Woodland, Bristol Palace, Chapman, Comique, and the Majestic. 1921, the year of the Stanley Company. The Stanley Company of America was officially taking over the city. A legend is born. On January 29th, the Stanley Theater, named after the late industry giant Stanley Mastbaum, opened its doors. Autumn expansion? October was a massive month. The Ambassador opened on October 1st, followed by the Carlton on October 17th. Veterans Day debut, the Aldine Theater joined the party on November 11th. Blink and you missed it. The 48th Street Theater opened and closed all within the same year. Talk about a short run. Neighborhood hits? We also saw the Liberty, 6812 Torresdale, the Lindley, the Booker, 1030 Fairmont, the Crescent, 84th and Eastwick, and the Ritz, Marshall and Hunting Park all light up their marquees. The curtain closes. Along with the short-lived 48th Street, we lost the Broad Street, Idle Hour, and a trio of palaces, the Palace on Aspen, the Palace on E. Girard, and the Royal Palace. 1922. Names change, players stay. Fresh paint. The old Windsor Theater got a slick new name, the Ace. Expanding the map? The Stanley Company kept growing with the opening of the Lawndale. Elsewhere, the Adelphi, 1453 52nd Street, the Alcazar, and the Elm all began welcoming audiences. The curtain closes. It was the end for the Berks, Broad Street Palace, Liberty, 3526 Longshore, Messina, Starlight, and the Stenton. 1923. Hollywood comes to town. Labor Day launch. On September 1st, the Stanley Company opened the Ben Theater. The Fox arrives. On November 26th, the massive Fox Theater opened, operated by Fox West Coast Theaters all the way from Los Angeles. The Warner Connection. Both the Earl and the Northeastern opened their doors this year. Both would eventually be operated by the famous Warner Brothers. More Stanley gems. The Stanley Company also opened the Imperial, 921 North 2nd, and the Harrogate, though some say the Harrogate might have been around even earlier. The identity shift. The Cahucksink officially transitioned into the Diamond Theater. The curtain closes. Only one major casualty this year. The Star Theater at 1720 East Passyunk shuttered its doors. 1924, a blockbuster year. The city was buzzing in 1924 as the Stanley Company began its march towards cinema dominance. January 24th, the curtains rose for the first time at the Logan Theater, courtesy of the Stanley Company. March 24th, a true titan arrived. The Earl Theater opened its doors, serving as the glittering flagship for the Stanley Warner chain. The New Kids on the Block? The Avon, Allen, and A theaters all joined the Philly skyline this year. The rebrand. The American Theater, 722 West Girard, got a makeover and a new identity as the Astor after joining the Stanley family. The People's Theater officially stepped into its new era as the Desmond. Final curtains. We said goodbye to the Electric, 1038 South 8th Street, and both elite locations, Susquehanna and Torresdale, which closed their doors for good.
The 1925, the expansion continues. The momentum didn't slow down as we rolled into 1925, with neighborhood houses popping up on every corner. April 11th, the Stanley Company struck again, celebrating the grand opening of the Colney Theater. A growing list. The city welcomed a massive wave of new screens, including the Howard, 2614 North Front, the Coulter, Little, Onley, Queen, Somerset, and the Victor. The Fade Out. It wasn't all celebrations, though. Both the Alcazar and the Sun Theaters dimmed their lights and closed shop this year. The Roosevelt arrives. The mid-20s kept the reels spinning. September, the spotlight turned to the north as the Roosevelt Theater officially opened its doors to eager crowds. (1927), the grand openings. The year kicked off with a bang and didn't slow down. From neighborhood gems to downtown palaces, the city was glowing. February 4, the Stanley Company debuts the Ogantz Theater, setting a high bar for the year. October 9, the Park Theater lights up the corner of 31st and Diamond. October 16, opening night at the Roxy Theater. October 23, just a week later, the Erlanger Theater pulls back its curtains. November 18, Warner Brothers makes their mark with the opening of the Wynn Theater. New on the scene, the Lenox, the Lorraine, and the Pearl all join the Philly circuit this year. The rebrand? Over at 334 South, the Crystal Palace gets a fresh start as the new Palace Theater. The final curtain. Not everyone survived the competition. We said goodbye to the Backer, Dunlap, Lehigh, Leo, Park, Ridge Ave, Ruby, and the State. 1928, the Warner Brothers takeover. If 1927 was busy, 1928 was a total blitz, especially for the Warner Brothers, who seemed to be buying up every street corner in the city. New year, new reels. The Oxford opens on New Year's Day, followed immediately by the Carmen on January 2. The Warner Wave. March 12th, the Lindy opens. June 25th, the Forum makes its debut. September 22nd, the Commodore joins the fleet. October 8th, the gorgeous Sedgwick opens its doors. Christmas Day, the crown jewel, the Boyd Theater opens as a holiday gift to the city. Rounding out the year, the Admiral, September 3rd. The Fern Rock, the Bird, the Morris, and the Rexy all begin their runs. The identity shifts. The Logan on North Broad is snatched up by Warner Bros. And rebranded as the Broad Theater. The Washington Palace transforms into the 28th Street Theater. The Desmond gets a makeover as the Kent Theater. Closed doors? We lost a few classics this year, including the Eastwick, Lancaster, Owl, Pashkal, Rittenhouse, and the Tacony Hippodrome. 1929, the rise of the Mega Palace. The decade ended with pure architectural muscle and the birth of a legend. February 16, Warner Bros. Keeps the momentum going with the Uptown. February 28, the Mast Bomb. Warner Brothers unveils the largest movie palace Philadelphia has ever seen. As the 8th largest in the entire country, this behemoth would cost a staggering $75 million in today's currency. August 29 and 30, a Warner Bros. Doubleheader. The State opens at 52nd and Chestnut, followed the very next day by the Circle. final editions, the Home and the Olympia join the ranks. Name changes, the Haverford becomes the 60th Street Theater, and the Brisdisburg is renamed the Elm. The last reel. As the Great Depression loomed, the lights went out at the Bell, Gillard, both Globe locations, Market and Juniper, Solo, and the Tivoli.
Thanks for watching this trip down memory lane. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into history.